Did you know that in true-false questions, there are more questions with true response than a false one? Did you know that a good night's sleep is more beneficial than a night without sleep and cramming? Or did you know that questions with extremes, like always and never, they tend to be false? Remember that the best test-taking skill is simply making sure that you're ready for it. Make sure that you're ready, that you have planned, that you have looked at your schedule and seen, oh, look at this. In this class, I'm going to have a test in 3 weeks, and you want to study throughout the semester and plan that studying time. Make sure that you have stayed up to date on all of your assignments, and that includes the reading. And if you have several tests that are falling within the same time frame, make sure that you have planned, that you know how you're going to tackle that situation. And if you don't know how to take care of it, go check out a Student Success Center. Most colleges and many high schools have these opportunities for you. Get plenty of sleep. You want to make sure that you can sleep no matter what. This is important, and many times this is more important than studying. Many students think that if they stay up all night and cram that they're going to do better on a test, and that simply is false. You will do better on a test if you do not cram and you sleep. Make sure that you also eat good food. Does that seem silly? It might, but many times we need to remember that if you are carving up and you're stuffing in a bunch of sugars right before your test, you might actually have a fall right before you take that test or during the middle of the test, and you don't want to do that. Make sure that you eat a good solid meal. Use your office hours. Did you know that your professors and teachers have office hours or they have planning hours? And this is a time when you can approach your instructor to find out what you need. You can clarify confusing points and you're able to actually go in and discuss things with them. Remember, they're going to be very open to talking to you and helping you as long as you don't do that 5 minutes before the exam. Get practice tests. Use old tests of the material. And this is really valuable because you're going to be able to find this information on the internet. You can also find it from your professors and your teachers. When you talk to your teacher, ask them, is there any way that you might have an old test that I can look over or study from, or a study guide? And then make sure that you evaluate and grade all of your old tests or the practice tests as you are studying. Arrive early. Oh my goodness, this is so important. Arrive early for any tests. Don't run in at the very last second. It'll make you nervous. And what happens is you've created now an anxiety over being late, which you now are going to drag into the test taking. Also, carefully listen to all instructions and read all instructions carefully. I love the test that I've seen repeatedly given by teachers where it says at the beginning of the test, here are the instructions. Read the instructions, and when you are done reading the instructions, go through and read each question before you do any of them. Then as the students read through each of the questions, they get to the bottom of the very last question, says, good job at following instructions. You don't need to take this test. Fascinating to watch how many students just sit back and they look around at how many of their classmates are taking the test because they didn't read the instructions. Make sure that you have a positive attitude. Positive attitude's everything. If you walk in saying, I'm so stupid, I'm so stupid, I'm so stupid, guess what? You're not going to do well because you think you're stupid. So always envision good results. Make sure that you try acronyms. Acronyms are very valuable. So what you want to do is think of an acronym that's going to help you remember something. I remember from being a child and taking piano lessons, the acronym that every good boy deserves fudge. Is that how it went? Yeah. We want to make sure that we remember those acronyms. And as you create any kind of mnemonic devices, you're going to be able to have a better memory and ability to recall information. As you take that test, remember, read the instructions. We just cannot emphasize that enough as an instructor. Make sure that you have a look at the test. Just buzz through it quickly. Read it, skim it, see what's going on, see what's expected of you, and see how much time you think is going to need to be able to take the test. You want to then plan your test time. Estimate how much time it should really take for each section or each question, and make sure that you follow through and that you stick with your estimated time guesses. Do your easiest questions first. And there's a couple of reasons why you want to do that. First is because it's going to boost your confidence. And then also because you're going to be able to get through them a little more quickly. As soon as you've finished your easiest questions, then hit those harder ones. Make sure that you don't leave any problems to the end that are worth the most points. This happens often, that I'll have a student that says, I didn't get this last question done and it was worth 12 points. Oh no, we want to make sure that we start with those because you want to make sure that you are going to get as much points as you can. Next, make sure that you highlight any kind of units in your problems. And units would be like inches, centimeters, pounds, etc. And the reason you want to do that is because you don't want to make a simple error. For instance, if you had a multiple choice test and the answer was 3 pounds, your teacher may have put down that the answer could be 3 pounds or 3 ounces. And by simply having the 3 in your head, you could choose the wrong answer if you don't recall that unit. Also, make sure that you draw a diagram or a chart or even a table as you need it. This will aid you in being able to recall information, especially if you have doodled or done diagrams or graphic organizers while studying. Never leave a question blank. And lastly, plan to finish early, so that way you have time to review. If you plan that you're going to finish 5-6 minutes early, you can then scoot back through your test and say, what is it that I need to do the most? We look at this, we also want to look at some wonderful strategies to aid in multiple choice. So first, before solving any problem, remove all the answers that are simply ridiculous. Sometimes teachers are going to put those in there just to be looking for a filler. Next, eliminate any additional answers that are going to increase your chances for a right response. So as you read through it, you're going to remove that ridiculous one, then eliminate some of the other answers that you know simply cannot be correct. Next, check the units in the answers. Remember, we talked about that before. For instance, if inches is in the question, then you know that the answer cannot include gallons. Next, do not leave a question blank. It's just silly. It's better to guess than to leave one blank.